Hey, Foot Clan. I want to thank everybody over at jointhefoot.com for supporting this podcast. Supporters of the podcast receive access to our ever-growing fantasy football community, including an extra episode each and every week. They also get access to Foot Clan-only leagues, premium projections, flex rankings, priority fantasy questions, monthly giveaways, Q&A live streams, early access, and other special rewards. That's what you get for being an official Foot Clan member. Check it out at jointhefoot.com.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from Draft.com Studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Welcome in. It's time to talk to my friends about football.
I love talking to you.
Thanks.
My buddy old pal about football.
Hat Week continues for Mike.
Hat Week.
Now, you're repping the Phoenix Suns cap, the vintage cap, and we had the chance to go sit courtside for that preseason game last night.
Big win last night.
Oh, took them down.
Over the New Zealand Breakers.
Yes.
We showed those people how we do it on top of the globe.
Yeah, where the toilet flows correctly.
Yeah.
We said, go back down under.
Yep. And we whooped them by 6 points.
Even though we were, I believe the spread was 28.
I believe that the Utah Jazz defeated their Australian team by 58 points. But the Suns took care of the Breakers by a sweet 6 points.
A win's a win.
A win's a win. And that's why you're repping them this morning. This is not a preseason basketball podcast, as much as you might like it to be. This is the fantasy.
Thank goodness.
Brooks is happy about that. It's Thursday, October 4th. This is the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Andy, Mike, and Jason back once again. This is show 621 in our storied history, and this one's going to be good, fellas.
The best 621st episode of any podcast of all time.
TBD. But fantasy forecast on the show today starts of the week. Jason's boom boom kicker. Some mailbag if we got time. You can check out footclangiveaway.com. We got a couple weeks left there, giving away a signed Corey Davis jersey and a championship belt. And all you got to do to enter is go over to footclangiveaway.com. Some different ways you can enter. You can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, which is always welcomed and enjoyed.
Oh,
so much.
Like a nice Chianti.
Yeah, sure. Instagram.com/fantasyfootballers, at the FF Ballers on Twitter, and YouTube.com/thefantasyfootballers. I believe Jason's silence is indicative of him preparing his boom boom kicker.
He's crafting a statement.
Weeks and weeks of research.
The boom boom kicker is now officially locked and loaded in my brain. We're ready to go.
We won't do a full.
It's a super giant today.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Now, is that a New York Giant?
Nope.
Okay.
Maybe.
Maybe.
You don't say no,
Stick
man.
Stick around to find out.
Well, we will.
Got to tease it out, man.
I'll be here. We've got a lot to cover today, getting into the Week 5 matchups. So I wanted to update people on a couple Thursday night things. You got the Colts, Patriots tonight. T.Y. Hilton, Jack Doyle, and Marlon Mack are all officially out. So
that's 3 strikes.
Well, look, I've kept an open mind on Nyheim Hines. My hesitancy was related to Marlon Mack and Robert Turbin's return. Marlon Mack is not returning. And you guys have been big Nyheim Hines fans. I assume you're still fans.
Yeah, I considered making him my start of the week. He was in consideration because I just don't see how, with all the weapons gone, Nyheim Hines doesn't get at least 5 receptions. And if you're a running back that's shown well in the passing game, in a high-scoring game, if Vegas is correct and Indy's going to have to battle back, how they don't use him in a check-down fashion over and over and over, he should put up plenty of points.
All right, what else is going on? Rob Gronkowski expected to play on Thursday night. Obviously, you want to be careful. Monitor this close to game time. And if he's in there, look, it's Thursday. You get the advantage of if he's not, he gets marked as out, you got to put him on your IR, and you get to sign somebody off of the waiver wire. So you could be targeting a player like Brait. You could pick up an Eric.
Brait doesn't work this week.
Right.
Oh, that's
because of the
true.
bye week. I mean,
Indeed.
you can play him, but you'll probably get less points.
Same
than Gronk.
same amount of points as
fewer points.
But no, Eric Ebron could be a target.
Yes.
But, we just talked about, Jason, you said if this is a high-scoring game and there's all these targets, Eric Ebron's there without Jack Doyle again.
Yeah, absolutely. While Jack Doyle remains out, I mean, it's the exact same argument for Nyheim Hines. There's just going to be enough volume to go around, and Eric Ebron, despite his lack of ability to catch the good passes, he will have to catch some. It's just mathematically he will have some receptions.
He makes a good catch here and there, and he makes a bad drop
That's
here and there.
the thing about him. If you give him a difficult catch, he's got it. But if it's important, if it's third down or if it's game-winning drive,
no one around him,
and you hit him wide open, that's never happening.
I also wanted to, we'll just jump in here.
Whoa!
Nothing like a Vance Joseph hype train. He wants to get Royce Freeman more touches. He says, "I'm looking forward to it."
Hey, Vance,
he's playing good football.
Do it. Just do it. These are the most frustrating hype trains.
Well, I hope
for
it comes
me.
at the expense of Devontae Booker.
Yes.
Not at the expense of Philip Lindsay. If you're a Lindsay owner, you're hoping that this becomes a regular two-headed monster as opposed to a, two good players and then one that just soaks up
losses.
Snaps
The
and
Broncos
losses.
were winning the game against the Kansas City Chiefs, and then Royce Freeman got one touch in the fourth quarter. Your bruising back, who weighs like 230 pounds and was crushing people's souls. I mean, come on. Do it.
Well, in fairness, they said they want to do it. And sometimes it does take, after the game, going back, watching, and seeing your mistakes. So this is great news coming from Vance. I buy in because of what an egregious mistake was made and because, like Andy said, the Devonta Booker role can go away. So
maybe. I mean, he was the 2-minute guy. They're getting more touches to Royce Freeman to me does not mean we're all of a sudden going to put Freeman in on a 2-minute drill.
He's got
it
that
would be
skill
delightful.
set, though. He has that skill set.
I agree.
But Lindsay has it. Lindsay is probably more proficient in that situation.
I would rather than put Lindsay in the 2-minute, punt, Devonta Booker off a bridge, and then get
you
Freeman.
in this bridge.
This is the year of punting people off the bridge.
The body is collecting at the bottom of your bridge.
There's a lot of them.
There's
The
a
stack
river.
is high.
They're gone down to the ocean. It takes them all the way out.
Back to the earth.
Yes.
Back where you came from.
There's an inlet somewhere just filled with players Jason is cascaded away.
Darn right. And Devonta Booker's got a one-way tour.
A one-way
A one-way tour?
of the ocean. We don't know where this is going. Devontae Adams, on the other hand, will not practice Thursday because of a calf injury he suffered during Wednesday's session.
You know who else isn't practicing? All starting wide receivers for the Packers.
So what do you...
Or their quarterback.
If Devontae Adams doesn't play, I have less confidence in the... Look, I know you like Jamone.
Jamon Mora. Come on, Jamon.
Marquez.
Yeah, but where's your confidence lie? Wouldn't it be better placed in a place like Jimmy Graham or Ty Montgomery?
Yeah, those two are my first two up. But then it would be Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who looked very good and would be the next guy up.
What do you? I guess
Would you start Hines or Montgomery? If let's say
Hines.
Adams is out.
Hines.
Well, you won't know that, but
Montgomery has had 4 or 5 carries, 6 catches, 2 catches. You'd rather go Hines?
Yes.
yeah, just because I know what the role is for Hines tonight, and I would have to. I don't know who's going to be out for the Packers.
Okay. All right. What else is going on? Is that it for news? I think that's all we have. A reminder, in and out tomorrow, all the injury news. We'll make our predictions on who starts, who sits. And then Foot Clan game day alerts 1 hour before kickoff on Sunday over at jointhefoot.com. And Sunday Live featuring Mike. I believe he will have a haircut by then. So it won't,
Maybe.
It won't be a hat live stream. It will.
I don't know. Hat year. Sounding pretty good.
Oh, great.
Nope.
Hat year. No?
Nope.
All right.
Nope.
All right.
YouTube, Instagram Live, Facebook Live, Periscope, Twitch, wherever you want to watch them.
And as your friendly reminder, it's Thursday night. If you are playing some fantasy players like Nyheim Hines, get him out of your flex, put him in your running back position. Don't find yourself in a really bad situation on Sunday where you have a player you cannot play.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right, let's get into the forecast.
Fantasy Forecast.
I'll be honest, I was a little bit distracted trying to dad joke my way into Hinesquarters. You know what I mean? But I couldn't get there. Couldn't get there. All right, teams on bye in week 5.
That was like a weird Jeopardy joke where like you gave the punchline.
Right. What is a bad joke? The answer is Hinesquarters. What is a joke you can't make?
Don't worry, I think Jason's about to save you. He has opened up the book. You better hurry up, man. I'm stalling for you as long as I can.
What did the bowling pins do when they were mad?
What did the bowling pins do when they were mad? I don't know.
Oh, they went on strike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give him the rim shot.
All right. Well, if you're still with us, teams on bye in week 5, the Bears, the Buccaneers. Don't play them. Don't take my earlier Cameron Braid suggestion. All right, the Titans take on the Bills. Titans are 3-1. The Bills are 1-3. This game's in Buffalo. The Bills are 3.5-point underdogs in this matchup. And you know what?
No way.
I wasn't going to do it, but
No.
Andy's almost upset of the week.
I don't disagree.
oh, I think. Look, that
What world am I living in?
it's a tight line there. 3.5 points at home. I just got a feeling, man. I got a feeling.
Well,
I got some Josh Allen bubbling up.
Well, you're not helping your case by going to Josh Allen.
But where else does he go? What is the case? I want to hear this case.
The case is this is the NFL. The Titans have squeezed by. The Bills have shown up at home before. It's a low over-under. The game's going to be tight. They beat the Vikings at home, and I'm believing in a little upset here.
Here's where I'm concerned for Tennessee. They have not been able to get the run game going. I know we've talked about if any game works out for Derrick Henry, it should be this one. But like Corey Davis, he's going to be matched up against Tre'Davious White, who's an excellent cornerback. I'm concerned for Corey Davis. I mean, I'm with Andy. I'm all about Corey Davis moving forward, but this particular matchup, on the road for the Titans, I have my concerns for Davis, and then if they can't get Derrick Henry going, I think that the Bills might be able to sneak one out.
Yeah, I mean, I still believe in Deion Lewis, Taywan Taylor. I think there are other options here, other weapons to get it done. My issue is that the Titans' defense has looked so good while the Bills' offense has looked very poor. So
Yes.
I don't understand how that happens. I mean, the Titans are coming off back-to-back shocking wins over Jacksonville and Philadelphia. This is one where I think that the Titans are going to win. I think Derrick Henry does get it going. I'm willing to start Derrick Henry this week, even though he's one of those final straw guys that I was talking about.
Right.
I mean, he's not by any means a must start, but I'm willing this week.
Sure.
I'd like to start Deion Lewis. I think he'll have a good game this week.
I would certainly feel more comfortable with Deion Lewis having that floor. I mean, last week he didn't even gain a yard, but still put up 10 fantasy points because of the passing
rushing
involvement.
yard.
Correct. Did not gain a yard on the ground, I should have said. But when we talk about your willingness to start Derrick Henry, which is a very difficult thing to do in mind and body, are you talking? Would you rather start Derrick Henry, Jason, or would you rather start Aaron Jones at Detroit?
That's a really good one. I've got them very close in my rankings.
You do. You got them back to back right now.
I would slightly lean towards Aaron Jones, but I do think the safer play is Derrick Henry because we still don't know the usage at all for Aaron Jones. So if I'm a favorite, my opponent stinks, I'd probably switch that around and put Derrick Henry in.
Yeah, this will be a very I don't think it's going to be an illustrious game for fantasy owners myself. I think
it'll be low scoring.
I don't have a lot of confidence in and I'm with you. I love Corey Davis, but I'm looking at other options on my rosters, and I'm seeing Kenny Golladay, I'm seeing John Brown, and I'm saying I feel pretty fine starting those guys. I think the floor is lower for Corey Davis.
Agreed.
I think it could end up in a situation where you're a little less comfy. Now, he does lead the league in target share on his team, but it's a matter of how much they pass, not so much the target share. He is 34% of the target share.
That's obscene.
Yeah.
So for me, the guys I actually want to play from this, even though I'm talking about the Bills potentially sneaking out a victory, I understand the probability lies with the Titans. The Titans' defense is a tremendous play. That's really where I'm most confident in this matchup. We talked about Buffalo allowing the league high in sacks, and the Tennessee Titans are racking up their own sack count. So that's the guy I want to play. The DST.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm starting them. No doubt about it. Even if the game's close, even if the Bills win, it's going to be a productive day for the defenses in this one.
Are you auto starting Shady McCoy?
He's not an auto start. No, I mean,
would you rather start Henry or McCoy?
Henry.
Yeah, I would. I think I lean Henry in this game. I mean, the Titans have been pretty solid against the run. They have not given up a rushing touchdown on the season. So I think I think it's going to be more of the same, where Shady will be involved, to catch a few passes, get some yards on the ground, but will be held out of the end zone. So I think his upside is really
more of a shame.
More of a shamey.
Yeah.
I mean, the ribs, of course, is a problem for Shady McCoy, and he had a hand injury pop up. He was spotted, with the wrap. He's not getting the volume and the snaps that we need from LaShawn McCoy.
Absolutely, that's another issue. I mean, if you look at the split, usually Shady just completely owns every backfield he's ever been in. Nobody else touches the ball. It's his workload. And last week, and maybe it's just the ribs.
Yeah, I mean, it's the injury.
It is.
It's definitely the injury.
But is the injury done enough to where they just say, Chris Ivory, you're not going to continue to share that load?
Probably more than last week.
He played only 62% of the snaps for I'm talking about LaShawn McCoy.
Yeah, wouldn't you expect that
That's
to go
not
up?
a bad,
I mean, that'll be up at
it is, but yeah, I'm going to expect it to go up,
70%.
but he's not getting carries. I don't know. He's troublesome, and I'm with you. If you have that scenario of Derrick Henry, I'd rather play
fair
him.
summary. Avoid players in this game if you have a better option.
Right.
Because there's not a lot of upside. All right, the Giants 1-3. They go to Carolina off the bye. The Panthers are 2-1. They're 7-point favorites in this 44.5 point over under. Look, the Giants. Listen to this. They've given up the most quarterback rushing yards per game in the league. Light up your Cam Newtons.
I'm scooting the booty?
I'm scooting the booty. Booty scooting Cam Newton. He's going to be scooting it all game long, and he's coming off the bye week. I love Cam Newton this week. I'm playing him over Pat Mahomes, who is home against Jacksonville. I like the upside of Cam Newton a little bit more.
Don't blame you.
Yeah, I love all the Panthers right now. I mean, the New York Giants defense has not shown what I had hoped they would be, which was kind of 2 years ago. The Giants have allowed the fourth most rushing yards. Christian McCaffrey has been killing it, both not just as a receiving back, but even on the ground, coming off of a bye with fresh legs, with Norv Turner. I think Christian McCaffrey and Cam Newton are awesome. The real question is, which wide receiver are you going with? I know my answer.
From the Panthers?
Yeah, DJ Moore, Devin Funchess. Do you roll one out? Do you roll both out?
I would feel more comfortable with Devin Funchess' target share. He's had 9 and 7 in the last 2 games since Greg Olsen was out. We know that Greg Olsen will be out again. He is progressing. He was hoping to play 4 to 5 weeks after breaking the foot, but not going to be back this week. So I lean Funchess. Do you have the same consensus?
Your statement was enigmatic to me because Devin Funchess is the only guy I would even remotely consider.
I'm wondering if this is his way of trying to say DJ Moore's name.
Yes, well, I wanted to bring DJ Moore up because a couple weeks ago he was, he had the 51-yard touchdown. People are really excited. He's the hot rookie, the first round. And then update. He has 2 receptions on the year.
Right. Okay. Thank you. And he has 4 targets on the year. As
well. So they use him a little bit in the running game, but it's definitely Funchess. I mean, he is the clear one on this team.
You're loving on Norv Turner over there. You buying they're coming out of the bye week. First round rookie wide receiver. Maybe they get him a little bit more involved.
I'll keep my eyes on him, but I'm starting Funchess in our dynasty league. I'm happy to do it.
All right, on the other side of the ball, the Giants' offense has struggled. Graham Barfield tweeted this. This year, just 8.9% of Odell Beckham Jr.'s targets have traveled 20-plus yards in the air. In his 2 prior seasons combined, 18% had done that. And if you watch the games, it's obvious what has happened to Odell Beckham Jr. this year. His targets have been close to the line of scrimmage, and he hasn't had one of those slant routes or plays that he's been able to manufacture a long touchdown out of. Therefore, you're not getting the fantasy results that you expect from somebody in the top 3 at the position. That's all there is to it. You watch Eli, every time I see every time I see him take the ball.
That's Eli taking a snap.
He takes a snap, he screams at the top of his lungs, and he chucks it 3 or 4 yards in front of him. Now, it's going to Saquon, it's going to Beckham, but the average depth of target is so close to the line of scrimmage that you're disappointed right now.
You're definitely disappointed, but Odell Beckham has still been pretty good. I mean, if you're in any kind of half-point or full-point league, 11 receptions, 9 receptions, 7 receptions, 2 games over 100 yards, always getting near that 15 points. He hasn't scored yet. Had he have scored, we'd have a completely different view. And like you said, Andy, he just hasn't taken one of those slants to the house yet. Is this the week it happens? Coming off the bye, Carolina's defense has looked very good. I'm not expecting this to be his huge breakout. Obviously, you're starting Odell Beckham. I have called him one of my biggest trade for targets. But ironically, yesterday, I don't remember how it happened, but we got into a little rabbit hole of watching old Victor Cruz highlights.
Yeah.
And while watching those, the one takeaway was like, other than, Victor Cruz was really fun for that year, was, wow, Eli Manning looks so much better here. Like, even when he's just like faking to the left and going back to the right, it takes him a full second longer now to do that little pump to the left and look to the right. He looks like an old man on the field when you go back and watch, 5 years ago Eli.
Mike, can I ask you a question? I want to get into this Odell Beckham Jr. because I know that the right answer most likely is to say, look, he's a trade target. Let's go after him. However, this is a bad offense. It's been a long time since they've scored a lot of points. He missed a year last year. Eli's a year older. And ultimately, this, 10.7 yards per catch for Odell Beckham Jr. right now is a result of a terrible, shaky offensive line and a quarterback that has no maneuverability, no evasiveness, no ability to extend the play to take advantage of the strengths of Odell Beckham Jr. If I told you right now you're going to have to depend upon Odell breaking slant routes to make his season, right? Like we've seen Julio Jones struggle with the touchdowns before. At least he's playing in a proficient offense. This might be a bottom 5, bottom 8 offense in the NFL. Is there a world where you're adjusting that high-end wide receiver 1 expectation with Odell Beckham Jr.? Like, do you want him over Keenan Allen rest of the season where you see the Los Angeles Chargers offense being so much better?
I still do. I still put him up in the echelon. Your hope and your argument for Corey Davis, right, has been the volume. It's which is true. This is what you got to do. You got to follow the volume. 15 targets, 9, 10, 11. So only one game without double-digit targets. The opportunities are there for Odell Beckham. I think it's just a matter of time before him and Eli actually get it going again.
Yeah, that's fair. Right now, Odell Beckham Jr. is 8th in the league in targets, so that speaks to your point. In case you're curious, Adam Thielen is number 1.
Whew, he's balling out, man.
Antonio Brown and Juju, 2-3.
Now, what about Mr. 100, catching 100% of his passes last week? Sterling Shepard, 10 for 10.
Well, Sterling Shepard did miss practice. He's expected to be back out there. You still don't have Evan Ingram. you certainly can give him a shot in this one.
Jason?
Yeah, no, I agree. The defense always is going to focus on Odell. If you don't have Evan Ingram, Sterling Shepard is a fine flex play.
You like Corey Davis as the number one with that target share over Sterling Shepard?
Yes, I do.
The Dolphins, 3-1, take on the Bengals. In Cincinnati, the Bengals are 6.5-point favorites. They're also 3-1. And this game's got a 49.5-point over-under. So there are points to be scored, and we expect Joe Mixon to be back on the field. Yesterday we talked.
We do?
We do. Well, we expect it.
Yeah, I expect it.
His head coach came out and said the sun is up. Gio Bernard missed practice, and Joe Mixon was in full pads in practice yesterday. So after the show, we had a lot of positive movement in the Joe Mixon expectations. I expect Mixon to be out there. I expect Mixon to be great.
Yeah, I mean, this was the timeline that every doctor in the world has given everyone from the team, outside the team, Pro Football Doc, everyone has said they expect him to be back this week. And when the coach says the sun is rising, things are good, he hasn't been cleared, but that's just because they don't need to yet. They know the plan for Joe Mixon, and I would be blown away if he's not out there. Plus, you got Giovanni Bernard a little banged up, so the combination is they need Joe Mixon, and he should be ready to go. I'm definitely firing him up against the Dolphins. The Dolphins' run defense, both last year they ranked 26th. This year they are 29th. They're the 29th best.
Right. They've actually been great everywhere else.
Yeah.
But they've been horrible, giving up 30 fantasy points a game to the running back position. And whoever's had the lead dog status in the Cincinnati backfield in every game has produced fantasy points. It's been Gio twice. It's been Mixon twice. And Joe Mixon has a little more
juice.
A little more juice. Gio Bernard is a sit if Mixon's active.
Correct.
A.J. Green, you're lighting him up. Tyler Boyd, you like him again?
Yeah, man. Tyler Boyd has absolutely leveled up to me. The targets are there, and he's coming through with big-time production. John Ross is not practicing. You saw him. He scored the touchdown, but in kind of classic John Ross fashion, he hurt himself, has a groin injury.
My groin!
You got me off guard there. It's Tyler Boyd. You have Tyler Eifert is out for the rest of the season. I think that puts even a little bit more on Tyler Boyd's shoulders. And between Tyler Kroft and C.J. Uzomah, we still don't – that's kind of been a hot topic this week. We just aren't sure which tight end is going to show up.
You're not sure.
Okay. I'm not sure. That is correct.
I think I really – I will be shocked if it's not Tyler Kroft. But you guys brought up great stats that make it seem very much that it should be Uzomah. Uzomah.
Uzomah. It's Uzomah. Either way, you might not want to use either of them.
Yeah, that's
the most likely result.
What I'm saying.
And then on the other side of the football, Kenyon Drake, make or break, final. My last straw player here,
Man.
Kenyon Drake. Last week, he earned his spot on my bench, officially. This week, he may earn a spot on the old drop him to the waiver wire.
Oh, wow. I thought for a second you were going to say the starting lineup, and I was –
No, I'd rather be dead.
My eyes got wide. You can't start Kenyon Drake right now. I mean, 8 rushing attempts is not enough. And that's over the last 2 games combined. So
it's not enough for one game.
It's not enough.
Not
for
enough
a
for 2
single
games.
Exactly.
Never enough.
You know, it's crazy. He came out week 1, 14 carries. He's looked great when he's been given the opportunity, but the coaching staff does not want to give him the opportunity. You saw Frank Gore run decently last week, and he's the guy getting the work. So can you start Frank Gore?
I'd rather be dead.
Yeah,
And
me too.
The point I was going to bring up, you might look, okay, the Bengals, maybe they've given up some points to running backs. Vontaze Burfict is back now for the Cincinnati Bengals. He has served his 4-game suspension. That's a huge boost.
Bengals are going to destroy the Dolphins.
The Bengals are going to destroy the Dolphins.
Is there any Dolphins you would start is the question that comes down to, and my answer is no. Not one. Not Stills, not Parker, not Amendola, not Grant, not Wilson, not Gesicki, although he would be kind of the flyer considering he's playing on 84% of snaps.
I would still be okay playing Stills. I don't want to, but I'm like a wide receiver 3. I'm still playing.
I think that's where I lean as well, because if you're going to play someone, play the guy who can have the 60-yard get behind him touchdown, and that's always been Kenny Stills' game.
And Andy Dalton is not one of our starts of the week today. However, he was our stream of the week, or my stream of the week, and I love him in this game.
Sure.
40 passing attempts in each of his past 3 games.
The Bengals are balling out.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Before we move on, want to thank today's sponsor, Tommy John. Think about your current underwear. Are you proud?
Okay, I'm thinking.
Are you proud of your choice?
Yes.
If the answer is because you got Tommy John's on. But hey, if the answer is no, then it's time to try Tommy John. They obsess over every little detail and stitch by using fabrics that perform like nothing you've ever worn before. Tommy John is so confident in their underwear that if you don't love your first pair, you can get a full refund with their best pair you'll ever wear, or it's free guaranteed.
It's not going to be free because it's going to be the best pair.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have been wearing Tommy John's for years, and I thought, it's just underwear. What kind of difference in my life could this actually make? And it's a massive, massive difference. I love my Tommy Johns. Go to TommyJohn.com/footballers for 20% off your first order. That's TommyJohn.com/footballers for 20% off. TommyJohn.com/footballers. Tommy John, no adjustment needed.
And Foot Clan, since we already know that you guys out there and gals are fantasy champs, never forget fantasychamps.com. It's what you're going to need at the end of this season. In fact, call your shot now. Go there, get your championship ring. Get your entire league one of those long-term perennial trophies where you could get a custom engraving for every champ. You can put the plaques on backwards and say, here's our last 10 champs. They're all me. Put my name on that and have this traveling trophy. Or you can get the awesome jerseys that we talk about where you get a custom fantasy football jersey. You want the Tenacious Z on there. You want the Ventura Bravehearts on there. You get a custom jersey with your name, your team. It's really cool. The rings and the belts and the trophies are the best out there. So check them out, fantasychamps.com, and you can save 10% if you use our code BALLERS.
The 3-1 Ravens take on the 1-2-1 Browns in Cleveland. The Browns are 3-point underdogs at home. The game has a 47-point over-under, and let's break it down. Divisional matchup. The Ravens have been playing very well, and we saw Joe Flacco come out. He's averaging 313 passing yards and 2 touchdowns per game. He's in the top 10 in passing yards, touchdowns, completions. He's 4th in pass attempts, and we have seen this in his past, right? This team has put it on his shoulder before in terms of total pass attempts. Now, that didn't always translate to fantasy production.
Right.
A lot of, they got 4 tight ends that'll be active this week. Mark Andrews, Nick Boyle, Max Williams, and now Hayden Hurst should be back on the field. Somebody that, look, I've heard different fantasy analysts say, look, they buy into Hayden Hurst. Are we blinded to the potential value of Hayden Hurst because of the 4-pack of tight ends, or are we just smart?
Yeah, I was going to say it's not that you're blinded. It's that you're able to see that, yes, there could be production. I mean, if you started Max Williams last week, you were pretty happy. There was enough production from the tight end group. But it's going to be a roulette. I mean, Joe Flacco's not just passing it to one of these guys because he's closest friends with him. He's going to pass it to whoever is open. And when you've got 4 tight ends running routes, it's not always going to be the same guy. It's going to be divvied up. There's no tight end here that you can reliably start. You could take a guess and get it right, but why do that? Don't you avoid that. You start John Brown. I think this is a decent matchup for the Ravens. I'm a little worried for everyone's Cinderella story right now, the Browns this week, because the Ravens have been playing great.
Big time.
And then they get Jimmy Smith back.
Yeah, big time.
I don't want to depart real quick. I want to go back to Alex Collins, though. I don't want to leave the Ravens offense.
Yeah.
Mike, talk to Jason. Talk to the concerned Alex Collins owner. Lay out the situation. What should they expect not only this week, but what is on the table for him? What is the potential outcome of a good or bad performance?
It's still so wide what Alex Collins can possibly do. We have not yet seen the Alex Collins from last year, In all 4 events, Alex Collins has not cracked 4 yards a carry. His fumbling problems are popping back up. He's splitting more and more time with Javorius Allen. He's losing goal line work to Javorius Allen. It's not the season that we had hoped for. Alex Collins has not seized the day. He did not open the gates.
Right, but I think a lot of people are afraid to start Alex Collins because he fumbled at the goal line, which really changed the momentum last week, and then he got benched for the rest of the first half. Now, he did get back out there,
right?
And then late in the game when it was clock-killing time, it was Buck Allen, which makes sense, right? You don't want to – if the whole point is kill the clock, hold on to the ball, you can't put the running back out there that's had fumbling problems, but you can absolutely start Alex Collins. Even last week, he had more carries than Buck Allen. With all of those things combined, he still had a touchdown because he was in near the goal line, and then he was given the second opportunity in near the goal line. Again, that's where he unfunged.
Yeah, but will he get the opportunity again?
I do believe
after the glumble.
Harbaugh has come out and given a vote of confidence for Alex Collins. And Buck Allen was a player that was benched by John Harbaugh for fumbling before back in 2015. Harbaugh said, quote, Alex is a trustworthy guy. I expect him to clean it up real quick. Fumbling's always troublesome. You can't have it. It's not worth it. He'll focus on that. One thing I know about Alex is that he'll make it his job to hold on to the football. That being said, if you fumble again, you're still going to probably going to ride the pine. But
absolutely. That is the risk. The risk of Alex Collins is he fumbles, gets benched, ends the game with 6 carries, and you are so upset. But they were working on that this week. You know, it's not like Alex Collins with a fumbling problem just fumbles every week. That's no running back, averages 16 fumbles. So I think he's going to be a good play this week. I don't think he fumbles. They were practicing punching the ball out all week. And if he, this is not a tough matchup. The Browns defense is much improved over the previous season, but they're still 22nd against, running backs and fantasy points given up.
All right, so now we can move to the Browns. Baker, Carlos Hyde, Jarvis Landry. Landry right now has the 7th most air yards in the league because they're using him downfield a little bit more. Baker, he likes to air it out.
Yeah.
Now, it cost him to the tune of a couple turnovers last week, but can we have expectations against this Baltimore defense? Mike, Jason, you brought up, the return of Jimmy Smith.
Great cornerback, and he has been such a part of this lockdown defense in the past. The fact that they've played this well without him and now are getting him back, I'll just say this, not fantasy, just football. I can't wait to watch Baker against this defense. I want to see what Baker does when he's got a great schemer across the field with great talent, and can he beat it? If he can, that will impress the heck out of me. There's no way in the world I'm going to take that risk with these players in my lineup. I'll start Jarvis because targets, of course, but I'm not starting Callaway. I'm not starting Baker. And Njoku I'm willing simply because – not because of Njoku or the Browns, just because of the landscape of tight ends. I'm willing.
Darren Fells got the touchdown last week.
Yeah, there's a couple middling tight ends that I would prefer over Njoku.
And are you still playing Carlos Hyde? Did I miss that?
Yeah, we didn't discuss him, but I would. Now, here's a question that came up when I was at the gym this morning, and I was like, that's tough, and you got to decide this today. Carlos Hyde versus Nyheim Hines.
I'd play Hyde.
That's what I went with as well, but that's tough.
In a half or in a full-point PPR, I think I would play Hines. But if it's half or less, that's a very tough question, Jason. You're right. I'll probably go with the volume of Carlos Hyde, though.
The 2-1-1 Packers take on the 1-3 Lions in Detroit. The Lions, 1-point underdogs at home, a 51-point over-under. I'm excited about this game from a fantasy perspective, but I'm not excited at my lack of ability to discern who will catch the ball or be a part of this Aaron Rodgers offense. Rodgers came out, criticized the play calling last week, despite winning, once again referred to his desire to go home and have a couple scotches because only 19 points were scored. He thought they should have scored 40 to 50 points.
If you watch the game, the Packers offense looked bad. against the Bills. I mean, they still trounced them, but if they were not playing the Buffalo Bills that week, they would have lost.
Say what you want about play calling. They don't have playmakers that are active right now. I mean, Geronimo Allison's questionable. Randall Cobb's likely to be out, but he's questionable. Devontae Adams with a calf injury. I mean, if you're leaning on a trifecta of rookies at the wide receiver position,
good luck.
I mean, what are you supposed to get out of that? And so Rodgers, do we need adjusted expectations? Or, he goes into Detroit, controlled environment. Do you have any concerns about getting a high-performing game out of Rodgers? Let's say you're in a position to have Rodgers or Mahomes or Rodgers or Cam Newton.
Man, this is the ultimate test of faith of how much do you believe in Aaron Rodgers. If his top 3 wide receivers are in fact out, I would pivot, man. I would play somebody else.
I will not.
You won't? You'll still play Aaron Rodgers?
I will play Aaron Rodgers over Patrick Mahomes this week.
We're talking about with the top 3 wide receivers out.
If Devontae Adams is gone, if he is out, then I would probably still play Aaron Rodgers over Pat Mahomes this week against Jacksonville, but it's definitely a close, difficult decision.
I mean, I
don't think Devontae Adams is going to be out. I think that his calf issue, they're working through it, and I expect right now that he's in. So I'm operating under that assumption, right or wrong, and if he is in, I'm definitely going Aaron Rodgers.
There is a bit of an update on Devontae Adams. Maybe it'll change your opinion.
Oh, no. That means it's bad.
He did not practice on Thursday at all. He suffered the injury on Wednesday, and so a little bit more concerning when you have a missed practice after a midweek injury.
Yes.
Allison's still in the concussion protocol. Randall Cobb did not practice again today.
I expect him to be out.
So it is. It's a little shaky. It is Aaron Rodgers. It is hard to start anybody over him.
If Devontae Adams is out, that is definitely rough.
Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams, Ty Montgomery in the backfield. Aaron Jones, I think you can start.
Agreed.
Ty
Montgomery, I think you can start as a flex option in any kind of PPR or half PPR league.
Especially if some of these wide receivers are missing. Yep.
And Jamal Williams.
Hey.
He's on the team. Detroit has Matthew Stafford and company trying to battle back the Packers and save their season. Kerryon Johnson, he's a running back what this week?
He is a running back 2.
Running back 2. I mean,
but Packers not giving up a lot against the running back thus far this year.
Yeah, but Kerryon...
Look, he started...
We need the Detroit staff to come out and basically pull a Vance Joseph and say, you know what, we are wrong. We've been doing it wrong. We've been giving our most talented running back not enough work, and we're going to fix it. But that's not going to happen, so Kerryon Johnson is just a running back 2, low end 2.
And I also think that the Packers' rush defense, this is another one of those, it might be a little too early to really say that they've been strong against the run. They played Buffalo this last week while Shady was injured, didn't give up much, but Shady was injured, and they're dealing with Chris Ivory. They dealt with Minnesota when Dalvin Cook got injured. And then when they played against Washington, they gave up 140 yards and 2 touchdowns. So I actually think that Green Bay is not that scary. If Kerryon Johnson comes out and gets the start, which he got last week, there's no reason in the world I could see they would be like, oh, he played really well. Let's put him back on the bench. If he gets the start, he gets more opportunity.
He needs the middle and the finish as well.
Yeah, the finish probably won't be there, and that's so frustrating because if the Packers are up, honestly, if
the Packers are up, it's great for Kerryon to be on the field over Blunt, but it could be Riddick's situation.
That's the thing. I think it would be Riddick if they're actually down multiple scores. So you might say that if Devontae Adams misses the game, that's good news for Kerryon Johnson.
You're starting all 3 Lions wide receivers: Golden Tate, Marvin Jones, Kenny Golladay.
Yeah, all 3, firing them up.
Okay. I don't think that we need to cover anything else in this game right now. We'll keep you up to date on the wide receiver situation heading into tomorrow and with the game day alerts on Sunday. Let's talk about the final matchup of today before our starts of the week, and it's a doozy. The 3-1 Jaguars take on the 4-0 Chiefs. Chiefs are 3-point home favorites in this one, 48.5-point over-under. Look, when you're 3-point favorites and the line's that big, the Chiefs are going to score against this Jaguars defense. They're going to find a way to manufacture points. I think that this game has the potential to be more than we expect. Now, does that mean that Mahomes is an auto start? Close to it. Close to it when he's at home in this matchup and has the ability to, like last week when he was pretty much shut down, still put up an okay fantasy day with the rushing touchdown and the passing touchdown. I know that Mr. Tyreek, the Freak, is very excited to go up against Jalen Ramsey. And most people are excited. It doesn't always work out.
It's like the Mike Tyson quote, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're excited until he's got to cover you.
It's funny because he goes, I hope he presses me. He says, I hope he comes up and presses me.
Honestly, how do you press that? He'll just go right past you. That's a great matchup to watch.
It'll be exciting, but the Jags defense, just to give you context here, they were number 1 against quarterbacks last year. They're number 1 against quarterbacks this year. They were number 1 against wideouts last year, number 3 this year. Look, they're great. They don't give up fantasy points. That's just been the situation that we have. So I do think there's a ceiling here, but it's going to be a great battle. Do you start? Let's start on the Jaguars side of the ball. TJ Yeldon.
Yes.
He saw 21 opportunities last week. He's averaged 17.8 per game, and Leonard Fournette is gone. Yeldon's an auto start.
100%.
Yes.
Now, if you're a fantasy owner making a decision, would you rather, how high on the list is Yeldon for you? I mean, are you starting him over James Conner?
No, not Conner.
No,
not that high. But
are you starting him over Sony Michel against Indianapolis tonight?
Nope, not that high either. But
no, he's
Mark Ingram,
below.
Mark Ingram on the game back.
That's my sandwich. That's my TJ Yeldon sandwich. I've got Sony Michel, TJ Yeldon, Mark Ingram in that order,
right?
In half-point rankings.
Yeah, he's a lower end running back 1 to me.
Well, he's going to catch the ball, and he's going to have opportunities. Keelan Cole, Dante Moncrief, Dede Westbrook. Moncrief and Westbrook decided to have big games last week. Cole had an off week to put some confusion in your minds. If you had to pick one, who was it going to be?
Well, I mean, if you can only pick one, I'm
going Keelan Cole if I have to pick one.
As am I.
I am still sticking with the guy that I think gets the more valuable type of targets who is also talented. Dante Moncrief gets the valuable targets but is not as talented, drops a lot of passes. The volume of targets leans towards Dede Westbrook. So I would, in my opinion, I would go Cole, Dede, then Moncrief. But
could you start them all the same way that you start all of the Lions wide receivers?
No.
Mean, the Chiefs are allowing, listen to this, 451 yards per game. That is on pace to allow the most yards in the history of the NFL.
Which we know won't stay that way. Andy Reid's defenses, very similar to the Patriots, often start horrifically bad and then get better as the season goes on.
Yeah, but you can't start worse than that.
No, you can't. But you can't keep that pace. I mean, I guess someday someone will break the record, and maybe it's happening right now. But they're at home. There's going to be some slight rain, some 10+ mile an hour wind. I just don't think this is. Yes, I'm willing to start most Jaguars in this situation against Kansas City. I love playing against Kansas City right now, but it just might, because that defense is so good and the conditions aren't necessarily perfect. I don't think this is a guaranteed barn burner. It's a hopeful barn burner, but it could just be a
burner.
Just
a barn.
A barn simmer.
This is like a shed burner.
Oh, okay.
It's like not a full barn. It's not going to be like as the flames aren't as high.
It's just my lawnmower.
Fire in the shed.
For those that are really afraid, I want to contextualize the Jags' dominance against opposing quarterbacks a little bit. They faced Eli Manning, Tom Brady, an injured Marcus Mariota, and Sam Darnold thus far this year. None of those are doing what Patrick Mahomes is doing thus far. So they do give up more points a game on the road. They gave up 15.7 at home, 19.7 on the road, and the Chiefs are still favored. So is there any hesitancy on the Chiefs side? I mean, all of their stalwarts, you just play them, right? I mean, you pay Mahomes, Hunt, Hill, Kelsey. Watkins is the only one that's a question mark. He did practice in some capacity on Wednesday. Do we know anything else about Watkins' situation?
Yes. You know that you should not play him.
You know that? Why don't you tell us why you know that?
I know that because if you've got a hamstring issue, that's always worrisome to start because we've seen so many times you don't even have to have played fantasy for a long time. If you've played this year, which you're listening, you probably have, you've seen people come in and re-aggravate hamstring issues. So there's already a big worry. But then you're going up against the best defense in football. Why, usually most people with Sammy Watkins have other options. He's not the type of guy that was drafted where it's like, man, I don't have any other options. So I would rather pivot away from an injured guy against Jacksonville. That's my stance.
I don't mind that stance. I do think it matters for Patrick Mahomes. I think it helps Mahomes to have him on the field. I think they missed him this past week. The good news is when you have a hamstring injury, you'd expect them to miss their first practice, and he didn't. He participated. So that is a good sign. Another hamstring update, as this is going to be a new segment, the amount of hamstrings out there.
Ooh, we need Mike. When you make the sound drop for that, I want only strings. Okay.
Oh yeah.
No, you can't rock it out. I want violins.
Yeah.
I want you play.
Jason
violin,
will take care of the ham part.
Right. I'll do the ham.
You do the strings.
Yeah.
Okay. Will Fuller expects to play in Week 5.
Okay.
So maybe that.
Do you downgrade?
Yes. Kiki,
the cute one.
Yeah. Kiki Cootie.
Kiki Cutie.
Yeah, I would. I would downgrade him a little bit. Anything else you want to talk about in the Kansas City game, Mike?
Nope.
Starts of the week.
Mike, I'm going to toss it to you. Why don't you kick it off?
All right, I'm going to start it off with my quarterback, and because I wanted to throw this guy out as another streaming possibility. We gave you 3 earlier in the week. This guy might still be on your waiver wire. I have confidence in Alex Smith this week, and it's all about the matchup. He has to go on the road against the New Orleans Saints, but the New Orleans Saints are just giving up numbers. Like, if the Chiefs weren't doing what they were doing on defense, the New Orleans Saints would be the dominant headline. I mean, not that people aren't talking about it, of course. And Alex Smith, he's been all right. He's got 2 multi-touchdown games on the year. The game where he didn't throw a touchdown, he threw for nearly 300 yards. He's got a healthy Jordan Reed. And I think that you can stream Alex Smith. Like, if you're looking at some of the options where you're like, oh crap, man, do I really want to play Patrick Mahomes against Jacksonville? I'm throwing out possibilities for people who are worried about playing Patrick Mahomes. I know your face is shocked.
Well, I pictured you saying any other name except for Patrick Mahomes in that situation, just because I can't see myself playing Alex Smith over Patrick Mahomes.
That's fine. But Jason has been on record saying he will not play Patrick Mahomes against Jacksonville, and I
not that I won't, but that I would be willing to.
Sure, and
bench him.
That's my point. I have Mahomes ahead of Alex Smith, but they're still very close in my rankings, close enough that you don't want to mess around with that situation. I'm not going to blame you for going with Alex Smith.
Jason, who's your quarterback?
My quarterback this week is Phillip Rivers playing against the Oakland Raiders. We saw last week Baker Mayfield have a lot of yards, a couple of touchdowns. In fact, Oakland has given up 5 passing touchdowns in the last 2 weeks. That Phillip Rivers has been throwing those touchdowns. I mean, if you look at his season so far, maybe you've wanted more yardage like week 1 when he threw for 424 yards. And over the last 3 weeks, he's been around that 250 mark. But 3 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns. The Raiders have absolutely no pass rush. They're going to be –
They had one.
They had one. They got rid of it, and then they were like, where did that pass rush go? Well, can we get that Khalil Mack guy back? And then if you look at Phillip Rivers' career against the Raiders, his average career score is about 21 fantasy points a game in normal standard scoring formats against the Raiders. And Phillip Rivers has this really weird – he's one of those players that kind of does the same thing against the same team over and over and over and over. He always has bad games,
right,
against certain divisional opponents and good games against others. Oakland, it's good. He averages almost 26 points a game when he's on the road in Oakland. Now, the reason I say on the road, he's at home this week, but not really. Not really. That stadium will be packed with Raiders fans, and there will be a few fans of the Los Angeles Chargers there. This is basically a road home game, and I think he's going to light it up.
I'm going to go with Big Ben against Atlanta. Atlanta's defense is shot. The Steelers are up against it. The weapons are innumerable for Big Ben to be able to put up a monstrous fantasy game. And while he let people down last week, I think he's back on it this week. Monster game against Atlanta. He's my start of the week.
At the running back position, Mark Ingram, this is just a confidence play. We all know that Mark Ingram is fantastic. He was an absolute dominant running back one as soon as Adrian Peterson left town. 2, 7, 10, 1, 2, 6, 3. These are finishes of Mark Ingram at the running back position in the second half of the season. And if you've been holding on to him, you have options, right? Because you've had to set a lineup without Mark Ingram. But Mark Ingram goes immediately back into my starting lineup as a high-end running back 2 with running back 1 upside.
My running back start of the week is a guy that I wish I had on my roster. I just traded him last week before the Rex Burkhead news came out, and now I got to play against him. Fantastic! But Sony Michel.
You've met my fitness consigliere, Michel.
Is my running back start of the week. Look, if it's a 2-back system, which it now is for the Patriots, you start both of them. You start James White, you start Sony Michel, you start him every week. You definitely start him against Indianapolis. He got 25 carries last week for 112 yards and a touchdown. Indianapolis, yes, they have looked good as far as stopping, the ground game. They're averaging, I think, 3.6 yards per carry given up. And I am not a Sony Michel truther. If you've listened to this show, I don't think he's as talented as a lot of other people do, especially in the passing game. But if you are on the Patriots, who are, doing their yearly, it's October now, we're getting our act together, the other weapons are back, Julian Edelman will be on the field, I think Sony Michel gets 20 carries. And if you get 20 carries against the Colts, you have to start him.
Yeah, I'm going to go give you that boost. We talked about him a lot earlier, but TJ Yeldon at Kansas City is a must-start this week. The opportunity, the fact that this game affords, I think, look, the game plan is going to be what Denver did last week. You want to keep Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs' offense and their explosive players off the field. That means you're going to need to run the football. You're going to need to run it proficiently. Yeldon offers you both the floor of the passing game with the upside of being the main runner in Jacksonville. Love him this week.
My start of the week at the wide receiver position, I'm going with Jorts. Jordy Nelson. Derek Carr has been playing good for fantasy purposes, not good enough for the Raiders' record. 3 games already over 300 yards. The Quattro touchdowns last week against Cleveland with 400 yards through the air as well. And if you take a look, the past 2 weeks, 345 yards, 437 yards, Jordy Nelson has been a huge part of that. And I think that Derek Carr is finding more and more that he needs to rely on Jordy Nelson, who still has most of it. Maybe not all of the jorts. The jorts have gotten a little shorter. Or
it's just they've been washed a lot.
Yeah, they're fading a little bit. Maybe a couple extra rips, but as a deeper play at the wide receiver position, I think that you can start Jordy Nelson this week against the Chargers.
Just one game. I just want one game where he wears them.
The jorts?
Everything else is normal about his uniform. He wears the socks, he wears the cleats, he wears the jersey, he wears the pads. But
he's got jorts on.
He's got
over.
the jorts on.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Over. Okay, yeah.
Speaking of Jorty, 2 weeks ago, Jorty Nelson, he had a monster game. 173 yards and a touchdown. He had that game while Amari Cooper pooped his pants. And one thing that has not been considered is the absolute breakout of a name that we will surely hear over the next few years of Xavier Howard, star cornerback for the Miami Dolphins, who has been locking down opposing ones. He's been unbelievable.
Right.
The beat has happened from training camp, from last year even. He's got A.J. Green. Tyler Boyd has just been on fire. I am staying in the flames, and my start of the week is going to be Tyler Boyd. I think they're going to need him. They're going to use him. Why would you go away from him? And if he's one of those guys where it's like, I know he's been playing well, but his name is Tyler Boyd. I don't trust him. This is going to be a matchup where I think, look, Vegas is saying there's going to be a lot of points scored. The Bengals are going to score those points. If, for some reason, A.J. Green struggles a little bit against Xavier Howard, they might have to look towards Tyler Boyd. So that is my start of the week for those reasons.
Makes sense. He's been just a PPR monster right now. I'm going to go
11 for 100 last week, 6 for 132 the week before, Tyler Boyd.
I'm going to go with the clear pass-catching preference for Carson Wentz, and that is Alshon Jeffrey. Came back, had a big game last week, just under 20 fantasy points, and Minnesota's secondary has been taken advantage of. Now, look, the Rams are the Rams, so I'm not projecting the Carson Wentz-led wide receiving core to put up the 379 receiving yards and 4 touchdowns that the Vikings gave up last week. But they have been they've been giving it up. I mean, in week 2, 30 fantasy points to the wide receiver position. Week 1 against San Francisco, they gave up a touchdown and over 100 yards. Alshon's going to be the main guy, and he seemed healthy. And he seemed like, I don't think we expect Minnesota to get shut out in this game. So I think there's a lot of opportunity here on both sides of the ball, and Alshon's going to take advantage of the situation. So Alshon's the start of the week.
And I'm going to go with a guy on the opposite side of the field, and I just want to
for your tight end,
for my tight end start of the week, and give some people that confidence boost, that push. Kyle Rudolph has been good.
Yeah,
I mean, I feel like the success of the Vikings, the passing game of Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs has massively been overshadowing what Kyle Rudolph has been doing. The past 3 weeks, he's averaging nearly 6 receptions and 60 yards a game. And once again, 60 yards never sounds great, but those are fantastic numbers for the tight end position. And he's always a touchdown threat. Kirk Cousins and the Vikings are throwing more than nearly every single team in the league. And I know that's they've been a victim of some weird game scripts with the Buffalo game. They had to keep up with the Rams. But Kirk Cousins already has 2 games over 400 yards, a third game at nearly 300 yards. I just want in on that. And the Eagles, you can't run on the Philadelphia Eagles. Who from Minnesota is going to be able to run on the Philadelphia Eagles? I think once again the game script is going to fall on the shoulders of Kirk Cousins. And so I'm just trying to get a cheap option in that passing game, and that's Kyle Rudolph.
Yeah, and the good news is, the Vikings defense has not been what we thought it would be. So the Philadelphia Eagles, if anybody can score on them, the Eagles should be able to, and if that happens, Kyle Rudolph will need to be used. I'm going with a guy who I have had a long and illustrious relationship with on this show, and when I have made him my start of the week, man, has he let me down in the past. So feel free to bench this start of the week, but I have tried to trade for this player this week as I was an O.J. Howard owner and an Evan Ingram owner, and they were like, hey, you want one of these knee issues? Me too. So I'm going with Eric Ebron. Now, you might be out there and go, whoa, Eric Ebron's facing the Patriots, who are currently the biggest red, the smallest red number in the fact that they're the number 1. The Patriots are number 1 against the tight end if you're looking on your platform and you're like, wait, I can't start that. But if you dig a little deeper and see who they played against, they've played against teams that basically don't have tight ends. Miami with a rookie Mike Gesicki, Detroit, whose tight end now is Kenny Golladay, replacing Eric Ebron, and Week 1, Houston, who just doesn't really use the tight end. In Week 2 against Jacksonville, they gave up 62 yards and a touchdown. So I think Eric Ebron will be needed because T.Y. Hilton is out, because everybody's out. Jack Doyle is out. And, look, surprisingly, he's the number 5 tight end on the year. He's been averaging 7.5 targets a game, which is great for a tight end, over 4 receptions and almost a touchdown a week. So I'm willing to start him tonight, which means you should probably bench him.
I'm going to go with the
great
Vance
advice.
dance. Vance McDonald last week, 5 for 62, which is a nice week from a tight end, right? You're getting 80. That's an 80 reception pace. And the week before, the 4 for 112. What I love about it is they don't want him to do anything but run routes. He ran 32 routes last week. He blocked 3 times. 3 snaps.
He don't need to block.
He is the pass-catching
He does the
tight
Vance
end.
dance.
And tight ends, look, I put him in the Kittle category. Kittle cattle. Gory.
The Kittle corner?
What I mean is there's a lot of upside. And look, if I'm going to put a tight end on my offense, as much as I like Kyle Rudolph, and I would be more than happy to start Kyle Rudolph, he represents the unsexy safety at the position, right? 600 yards, maybe a touchdown. Vance McDonald offers the big playability, the kind that you saw from George Kittle last week where he broke a long touchdown. You saw it from Vance 2 weeks ago with the long touchdown. I just love that about my tight end because if your tight end goes off, you win the week.
Yes.
If you get the Jared Cook 28 points, congratulations.
That's what I loved about O.J. Howard. Is that, he might stink, but every tight end might stink. But when he has a game, it's an 80-yard touchdown down the side. So and Vance McDonald, if you're not familiar with his days back in San Francisco, he did that several times in San Francisco where he had the long touchdown breakaway. So I completely agree with the analysis. I would love to start Vance McDonald this week.
All right, those were our starts of the week. Again, follow us on Twitter at the FF Ballers to keep up to date with everything going on so you can win in Week 5. And we'll hit our final segment right now.
Jason Moore's ironclad, locked and loaded, 100% guaranteed boom boom kicker of the week.
I'm going chalk this week with a legit supergiant. I want the high-scoring game with Atlanta's Matt Bryant.
Poor Matt Bryant. I mean, because everything makes sense.
What have you done?
I
mean,
know.
but now what's going to happen? I mean, no, very nice. Matt Bryant.
That just means start your Matt Ryans. It's all touchdowns.
Apparently. So any concluding thoughts? Brooks, how you doing over there? You still with us?
I'm pretty good.
Okay. All right. Well, that is it for today's episode. Thanks for listening, tuning in, subscribing, reviewing.
Check out draft.com/ballers if you're going to play some daily, and make sure you tune in tomorrow for the conclusion of Hat Week. Goodbye.
Good luck, Eric Ebron.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter at the FF Ballers.